What is going on, everybody? This is an exciting day. Starting a brand new podcast called Use Your Own Row Podcast. It's called that because I am a new season ticket holder for the Philadelphia Eagles, which is going to be the main topic of conversation on this show. But talking about, overall NFL, what's going on in the league as a whole, but mostly Eagles talk. It's called Use Your Own Row because my seats at the link are in section 233 up in the corner near the First Trust Bank bar. And I'm in the second row of that section. And the people who sit in like the top 5 rows of that section are all people who like get their tickets on like StubHub, Ticketmaster, whatever, wherever they get tickets from because they're probably cheap. So they get their tickets, but then there's stairs on both sides of our section. So what they do is these people come down on the left side stairs, come all the way down to the first, second, or third row and try to cut across, which is extremely annoying for me, for the people that are in front of me and behind me, that we get these random people just trying to cut across our row while we're watching the game, and we tell them all the time to use their own row, go back up, just, you're not coming across my row, his row, whatever. We're all season ticket holders. It's so annoying. It's been going on. It's an epidemic up there. It's been going on there for years. I've gotten a little lax with it in the past. I've let a straggler come through or not, every now and then. But most of the time, I give them the boot. Just a little background. My name is Steve, lifetime Eagles fan. I live in South Jersey, but I was born in Delaware County. Just excited to do this. Been wanting to do this for a while. Big Eagles talk. A lot of stuff going on with Eagles right now. Coming off of a Super Bowl run of a year. Still a little upset from what happened, but I've kind of come down to earth a little bit. 2 weeks after the Super Bowl were pretty depressing. Even though they had an incredible season, they put up a hell of a fight on offense. Defense not so much, but that guy is gone in Gannon. Steichen's gone too. Got to replace some coaches, which we already did. But just big topic right now is, what everybody's, what they're doing in the off season as far as retaining contracts, how they're going about their free agents, and then all of this obviously leading up to the draft. The big topic of conversation this past week has been with Slay. Initially came out that he requested a trade, but I kind of found out that it wasn't really him requesting a trade because he wants to leave. It was more so some contract negotiations or renegotiations, and I think it's more so of his agent, like exploring the options of a trade because obviously he's doing his due diligence, for his client, trying to see if he can, get him a better financial situation elsewhere. But obviously Slay doesn't want to leave. I mean, he's signed a big contract here. I'm pretty sure he likes it here. He and his wife are very active on social media. They're both amazing, and he's an incredible player. Top corner in the league, and I don't think any Eagles fan wants to see him go. But, it is the league. Stuff happens. Trades happen. Players that you want on the team, end up going because of their value. But I hope he stays. I would imagine he's going to stay unless somehow the Eagles see somebody in the draft that they want to get, and they use him as compensation. But I doubt it. Another thing in the past couple of weeks, C.J. Gardner-Johnson more than likely out. It's kind of a bummer. He's been an incredible addition, and he alone has won some games for the Eagles this year. Led the league in tied for the league lead in interceptions. He filled that gaping hole in safety that the Eagles needed, and he's been a stud. But it sucks that he's probably going to go. The other recent thing that happened is, they re-signed BG, Brandon Graham. Signed a 1-year deal. And he is such a humble... He is literally the best guy. Obviously, money's always on these players' minds. But he says he didn't come back for the money. He came back for the team, and he came back for Jalen. He saw what happened this year. He saw the run that they made with Jalen Hurts at quarterback. And just from what he said, he wants to come back to see. He wants to run it back. They want to get there. They want to get there again, which is, I think, a incredible probability. It has a high probability of happening. Another big thing is with free agency, about to hit. Eagles are going to have to replace not just some spots, some depth at spots, mostly on defense. Their O-line, or their defensive line is basically going to be, right now, I don't think they'll re-sign anybody. I don't know if they'll re-sign Cox. Probably not. Honestly, I don't even think they should have re-signed him this past year. But he came back, took a reduction, air quotes. Came back, he did all right. Obviously, and he's done his time. He can go anywhere else now. He's an all-time lifer Eagle. He's fine. I think everybody will be okay with him going. You had great years here. Let somebody else pay you. We don't need the money. We don't need your cap hit of whatever it was, like $13-14 million. We don't need that for a 1-year deal for a guy who's a year or so removed. He's probably going to retire. Go somewhere else. I'm okay with him going. The bigger hit is Javon Hargrave. He's probably going to get a big bag somewhere else, and I don't think the Eagles are going to want to pay him. Not that they wouldn't want to. I just don't think they'll be able to afford him with the money that they'll have to allocate to other positions. So that'd be Cox, Hargrave, and then you're more than likely going to see Sue and Linval Joseph go. They were brought in on 1-year deals, and they filled huge holes on the defense. Not just on the depth chart, but literally on the field. They were incredible additions that helped us get to the Super Bowl. That they helped so much in the playoffs. Just making running backs on opposing teams obsolete. Couldn't run anywhere, and we would constantly have fresh legs on the field. It was amazing. So the only guys that they're going to be able to retain are Milton Williams coming off of that injury, and then obviously Jordan Davis, who has to, not he should, he has to see a significant increase in playing time. He barely played this year. He obviously got hurt, so he was out. But when he was in, the defense was better. The plays that when he was on the field, the defense was better. They need to pretty much just force him to play more. He's a enormous human being, so he's probably going to get hurt. It's just inevitable. You're going to play more. He got hurt in the few snaps that he played. But he's going to have to play more. He's going to have to be a huge playmaker for this defense. And I think that they're going to have to address these options, these holes in the draft. Because, Howie's obviously great at bringing in, 1 to 2 year acquisitions at any position. But the Eagles are obviously very keen in on, they're very good at drafting defensive tackles. Obviously, they drafted Fletcher Cox. I wouldn't say, Jordan Davis, he's not a bust yet. It's only been 1 year. You just got to let the guy play. And Milton Williams, he's been great. He's been awesome. They have to address that in this draft, along with, you got to take at least a corner, because hopefully you retain Slay, but then you're probably going to lose Bradbury. If you lose one of them, you got to keep the other. If they trade Slay to whoever, which I hope they don't, then you got to re-sign Bradbury. It's just, you can't lose Slay and Bradbury. It's just, it would literally make your defense, there's no structure. You can't even there's no structure there. You're going to lose your whole defensive line, and then you could possibly lose both of your starting corners. That would be absolutely awful. You can't do that coming off of a Super Bowl run of a year. You got to spend that money. But I know, we all know Howie doesn't like to do that with specific positions, even though he did give Slay a bag. So, Slay, I'm just going to make just throw it out there. Slay's going to be here. Bradbury's probably going to go, because he had a great year in his contract year. He'll probably go somewhere else. Just hopefully not in the division. Maddox, you still got Maddox, but then you gotta address safety. Gardner Johnson, you're gonna have to. That's got to be one of those first 2 picks. Safety or corner, preferably safety, because you can always bring in some veteran cornerback to just to plug in. But I think you gotta go safety. Then again, leading into the trade, into the draft talk, I think they're probably going to trade back. Just makes sense for. I mean, they're sitting at 10 and 30, sitting at 10. I anticipate them, not just because of draft position, but we all know how he loves to trade. He loves to deal. He loves to just shake things up no matter what they are. So I anticipate them trading back, and they also need to get picks back because they are slim to none in the third and fourth round. I think they got a second-round pick, but then they have nothing until the fifth. So they got to allocate picks somehow, and I anticipate them trading at least once with that first pick at 10. Waiting on all this stuff with Aaron Rodgers. Apparently the deal's pretty much done. They're just waiting for his response, whether he's going to play or he's going to retire. And that would be with the Jets. And I think the Jets are sitting at 13. If he retires, and I anticipate I would strongly push for a trade with them. Honestly, it's a trade with them anyway. Because they need help all over the place. If they get Rodgers, it doesn't mean, hey, they're going to be a Super Bowl caliber team. They need to rebuild. They've been rebuilding for 10 years. So I still try to push that trade. Get probably not as much going from, you're in the mid first round. Probably not going to get much. Maybe a second, third this year, and maybe one other pick for another, obviously from swapping the first. Don't see them getting a whole lot. Not as much as they probably want. But then, with that second pick, you're picking at 30, 31. You're picking at 30. I think, and this is just me, I think probably most of the fan base probably wants still to go defense. You still got to go defense. That's a smart pick. Either if you don't get whatever you don't get with that first pick, you take it. If you get a corner with the first pick, got to go safety or D line with the other pick, and vice versa. But the dream really, the fantasy fan, I want to see Gibbs. I want to see the running back from Alabama because I think at this point nothing's really said. It's been said, but the talk is that Sanders is gone. He's probably going to get gone. He's probably going to. They do not sign running backs to long-term deals. They have been a running back by committee team for years now, and obviously I think they should. I mean, it's been incredibly successful, even though Sanders has been a part of that committee. But you let Sanders walk, and then you still have Gainwell. Probably should re-sign Boston Scott. I literally said this to somebody the other day. Boston Scott's like Greg Ward. Like, he's that guy that you keep because when he plays, he somehow makes incredible plays. Especially, obviously, we all know he's the giant killer. But it's just he's a player that you draft, you keep around because he has those type of games where obviously you throw him in for a couple plays and he doesn't do anything, but then when you play him in a division game, then he goes off for 3 touchdowns. Like, he's that type of player where you can sign him cheap and keep him. Everybody loves him, and he'll be productive. He'll get you those 40, 50 carries for 300 yards maybe. That's incredible production from a third running back with like 5 touchdowns. It's insane. He's the one of the most lovable players on the team. As far as cap hits go, the looming thing that's everybody's anticipating, we don't know when it's going to happen, probably in the next couple of weeks or so, should be pre-draft, is Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts' contract is the biggest thing, really the only thing that people are talking about on the team. With the amount of money that all these top-tier quarterbacks are getting paid, he should command. I think the talk is 6 years. I think the contract length is probably 6 years, and I think he probably will command. I think he'll command $45 million a year. I think that is a strong possibility. $45 million a year over 6 years. So what? That's what? Just doing some quick math. What? 270 mil Probably be less. It'd probably be like in the 250, 260 range, but a big chunk of that guaranteed. I think that'll obviously that'll make anybody happy. But after Daniel Jones being signed for 40 mil a year, I think his contract's going to be north of that as far as per year goes. Should be about 45. I would expect a 45 mil a year contract. And you know what? I'm okay with it. He's the guy. He's your quarterback. He just led you to a Super Bowl. Borderline MVP. He is the guy, and you got to pay him. There's just no doubt about it. He has just made an incredible leap forward this year, passing the ball, running the ball, just overall running the offense. His reads have been incredible. His checkdowns, they've all been insanely good. He has just been exactly what this team needed. I mean, with all the other question marks going into this year, you didn't know how, obviously you signed A.J. Brown. He ended up being awesome. But you don't know how Devontae Smith was going to be. You don't know how the defense is going to be. Your offensive line's still intact, even though probably going to lose Samalu. He should be signed somewhere else. He had an incredible year and he's a free agent. All the questions that Jalen Hurts had, he answered all of them. And he went above and beyond. He is the guy. He's a stud. He's an arguably top 5 quarterback in this league. Arguably. I think he's after this year, I think he could easily be a top 5 quarterback. As far as other cap hits, like I said, you're going to lose Samalu. He's going to sign somewhere else. He had an incredible year. He's a free agent. He's going to get a big contract somewhere else. So then they should also probably address that in the draft. But we're so deep at O-line that we could just plug somebody else in. I mean, I don't know if we'll keep Dillard. Dillard will probably go because they were trying to trade him this last year, so I don't think they're going to re-sign him. But you got Cam Jurgens. I don't know if they want to play him at guard because he's Kelsey's successor. And if Kelsey comes back, then I don't think you really want him to play guard. You want him to play center. Samalu had that, the versatility of being guard center. But I think Jurgens is a little smaller than Samalu. So I don't know if I'd want him at guard. But then you still got Driscoll. You can plug him. You could probably plug him in at guard, unless you draft somebody else, because they also still have Brandon Brooks' contract. His is still a cap hit, even though he retired. They still got to pay him his money. So they're tied up with some money on the O line, but they're mostly intact. So I'm not really worried about that. Linebacker, you got some issues too. You keep because you're white, and I think they still got Davion Taylor, but you're probably gonna lose T.J. Edwards. I don't know. He's a free agent, and I hope they re-sign him, but I don't want to overpay him. He's not. He was great this year, but I don't think he's not going to get paid like a top-tier linebacker. So I don't know if they're going to keep him around, even though I think they should. I mean, he was incredible this season. I mean, he was on every play. He was making almost every tackle. He was so good in pursuit of the play. I want him to come back, and I think Eagles fans want him to come back. But it's just a matter of how much you're going to pay him, how much money you got left, and how much you're going to be able to pay him. I mean, if you can give him Kazir White's contract, I think that's a no-brainer. Because at defensive end, you are locked in. You are set after signing BG. You got BG, Reddick, Sweat, and Derek Barnett coming back from injury. So I'm okay with all three of them. You got 2 lines of pretty good edge rushers, and Barnett being the question mark. I'm okay with that. But then you got to address safety. You have to address corner. You're good on offense, obviously at 90% of your line, and receiver. You're good there. Goddard, stud. Don't need to worry about any of that. I think one of the bigger issues that no one's really talking about is how the offense and defense are going to operate with these new coordinators. Obviously, Gannon, during the season, made adjustments, but obviously we all saw in the postseason how he didn't really make any. And obviously that hurt us, especially in the Super Bowl. He didn't blitz at all. Everybody called for blitz. as much as people on offense called for to run the ball, Jesus, being at the games, everybody and their mother was telling them to run the ball because they were so pass heavy. Same thing on defense, but for blitzes. So I anticipate the new defensive coordinator to be more aggressive. I hope him to be more aggressive, blitz more, not just rely on the 3 or 4 man rush or 5 man rush, whatever it is. But then again, it's also great because you have Hassan Reddick coming back, who is, if they don't keep him in Eagle lifetime, that would be the dumbest decision. They only signed him to a 3-year contract. They got to give him all the money in the world because he is just behind Bosa. Obviously, I think we all know he got snubbed for Defensive Player of the Year, but he is the greatest defensive addition, along with having the greatest impact. And that also has to go along. I mean, I think that coincides with Gannon's philosophy of not blitzing because your edge rushers were insane. They had the most sacks in the league, so they honestly didn't have to. He probably thought you didn't have to blitz because you were just sacking the quarterback 3 to 4 times a game at least. But I think this upcoming year, I think you have to do it because I don't think, because your interior line is basically going to be in a rebuild, all the pressure is going to be on your outside linebackers and defensive ends. So I just think they're going to get doubled more. More quarterbacks are going to step up, and obviously quarterbacks are more mobile now. So I just hope that the defensive coordinator, new addition, will be more aggressive, and hopefully we can keep a lot of these key core players to where you're not just. I mean, obviously I'm for drafting young players and not necessarily starting them right away unless you get corner or safety with that top 10 pick. I think that whoever he is, no matter where he's from, he's got to start right away. Throw him right in, trial by fire. I think that'll only benefit him. If we let up a couple more touchdowns, because he's green. Okay, our offense is a top 5 offense. We're going to score points. But like I said earlier, with hopefully drafting a running back, not necessarily for drafting a running back in the first round, but if we can get that guy from Alabama, that would be awesome. That'd be awesome. That'd just be fun. Just having that fun, new shiny toy. Just letting them run around. Just letting them jack people up. To be able to run, because obviously all that. No way I don't think they're trading for Derrick Henry. I don't think we need him. Yeah, it'd be cool. But he's on his way out. He's older. He's beat up. He's a one-dimensional runner. Granted, he'd probably be great to get behind our offensive line, but if we trade for him, then that's where Slay's gone. And I'd rather keep Slay. We don't need Derrick Henry. I mean, the Titans have other issues. They don't. They have way more issues than trying to get rid of Derrick Henry. I'm not even going to go into that. But as far as other big news in the NFL that just happened today, Jalen Ramsey traded to the Dolphins for a 3rd-round pick and tight end. That was a big deal. I figured he was probably going AFC. No way he was going to the Eagles. But I just think, he's older too. Granted, he's still top 5 for cornerback in the league, but you'd have the same issue that you would have with Slay. If you're having contract, I wouldn't even say issues, just discussions with a player you already currently have signed. Why would you bring in another guy you would have the same issues and you probably have to pay him more? So he goes to the Dolphins. Great player, goes to an already good team. That just makes going to make the AFC way more loaded. It just makes a lot of those games going to be shootouts. And another big thing in our division is that the Commanders and defensive tackle Darren Payne reached a 4-year contract deal for $90 million. So that's a big addition for division rival. Even though the Commanders oh my God, they're so bad. They're having so many issues. And I was probably not. I know I got to bring him up. Where the heck is Wentz gonna go? No, it's I don't know where he could go at this point. He obviously still wants to start, but I think he should just start developing, the Chase Daniel mentality. Just, you were drafted to be a starter. Obviously didn't work out, but people are paying you out the wazoo to be a backup, just to stay healthy and not throw picks. I think he should call up Chase Daniel, talk to his agent, see how he can negotiate contracts that way. Because when Chase Daniel was with the Eagles, he fleeced us for a backup deal, and then I think it only lasted a year. So, Wentz, I really don't like you. You kind of suck. Yep, you had one good year here, and then you unintentionally almost destroyed our team. But then, Jalen Hurts brought it back from the dead. So, sorry, not sorry. Other things leading up to the draft. Yeah, like I was saying earlier, they have some holes to fill, especially on defense, and they have to allocate picks. I just hope that they do it with picks and trading back, not with trading players. I don't want Slay to go. I don't even know who else we can trade. I mean, who else? Unless you trade Sweat or someone else who's got incredible value, they're going to trade back in the draft. Use that pick to get more picks. I don't want it done any other way, because then you're just ruining the structure that's still kind of here, still relatively intact. And I don't want players to leave. I'd rather just add players, add picks, build for the future. And because our future is so bright right now, just Hurts in general. It doesn't matter who else is honestly, it doesn't even matter who else is on the offense. Having Hurts and the way he's playing is just elevates our team 1,000%. But then you throw in AJ Brown, you throw in Devontae Smith, you throw in Goddard, you throw in whoever. It doesn't even matter who's at running back at that point, because Hurts is going to get half the running carries, and then you have one of the best offensive lines in the past 10 years. This team is going to be great. They're going to continue to be great. They're always, I think, for the next 5 years, they're going to be in the Super Bowl conversation. They should easily always contend with the Niners and probably the Cowboys for top seed in the NFC. I mean, even with Daniel Jones signing, and they tag him Barkley, it's just going to constantly be Eagles Cowboys. Giants they always make a run. They had a nice run this year until they saw the Eagles, and the Commanders are a joke. So, as far as this week, that's what's all the scuttlebutt in the NFL, big topics in the NFL, and our Eagles. So, as far as the first episode goes, I think that's a good way to wrap up. It's good talking to you guys. This has been great. It's fun. And I'll see you next week. Go Birds.